Release the Kraken!
This video is brought to you by Rocket Flip, an annoyingly addicting action clicker game that'll have you breaking your phone in no time. Head over to lameduckstudios.com and become an alpha tester today. Only available on Android. Good evening, everybody. This is Ron here with Lame Duck Studios, and today we're going to go take a look at Maya 2018. I know we're a few versions behind, but we're all pretty similar. There are some updates from 2016 to 2018 that I'd like to cover. Firstly, it's the layout. So if you're new to Maya, this of course is going to be for anyone who's new. If you're familiar with Maya, not quite the video for you. But anyway, right here, this is our floor or our grid. It's where everything's going to pop up. If your grid does not look like mine, it's okay. We can change that. You can always customize things in Maya. So just to give you a basic layout, we have the grid. We have our outliner, which may or may not be open for you. The outliner shows you everything in your world. So you can see these here that are dark gray, those are hidden objects, but they do exist. So if I can select it, you can see that's my perspective camera, which is what I'm looking through. Top-down camera, front and side. And we have some default lighting and object sets here, which you almost never really interact with, but they do exist. Over here to the right, we have our channel box. So your channel box is usually pretty thin. Mine grew, but it usually looks like this. In our channel box, we have a display of everything that you'll see when you select an object, which we'll show you in just a second. Down here, we have our display, which shows you your different layers. You can toggle layers on and off, or you can create new ones by hitting the layer tab. We also have the animation layers tab if you're using the standard version of Maya. I believe the Maya LTE or the light version of Maya does not have this. Okay, so that's left and right. All the way to the left, we have our basic tool selection. So you have your arrow, so that's your pointer. You have the lasso selection, which is this. It's good for selecting other objects. The paint selection, so you can select parts of your model by clicking and painting, but I have nothing in here. Then you have your movement tool. You have your rotation tool, and you have your scaling tool. These are called translation, rotation, and scale. So movement and translation are the same. Over here, we have some basic camera setups. So this one brings up your perspective scene here. This is your 4-view. It splits your screen into 4 views. And then you have various views here and here. So if I hit this one, it'll split into 2-view. And then down here, this will toggle like so. Now there used to be a view for splitting your screen and bringing up your hypergraph, but they took that away. Shame, shame. I'm going to go back to 4-view here. And then if you want to select a view and maximize it, just hover your mouse over it and just press the space bar, and it'll maximize that view for you. So if I come over here, over perspective, there's no clicking involved. Clicking will change, use this little selection highlight, it will change where which screen is active. So like if I come over here and if I drop in an object, I'll make that bigger just so you can kind of see. I'll zoom out on all these. So whichever screen is active is the thing that's going to happen on. So if I'm selecting this one and I go into wireframe, this is the one that went into it, right? If I go over here and activate wireframe, so each screen has its own setting. Okay, set these back. Okay, I'm going to maximize my view here. So other parts of our layout, up at the very top, of course, is our menu bar. It has everything from file all the way down to help. And then down here we have our mode selection. So you can go from modeling mode to rigging, animation, FX, rendering, and so on. And right next to the modes, you also have the little quick buttons here that do all the same thing. So file is file. This opens. This creates a new file here, or a new scene. This is save, undo, redo. These also open up. So if I click that, you can see what's in here. You have various work groups here. This one opens up and closes these tabs, and so on. So you can see this opens up this little menu here. And these are kind of handy for when you're modeling. You can change various selection modes and such. Up here is your snapping for grid. You can see it's a little magnet type of grid thing. And other various things up here. So this is for rendering and whatnot. But all the way to the end of this, you have some more common use items. So this one here, these pages, this opens up your channel box. Okay. This one right here is your tools. So if I have anything selected, if I click that, it opens up the tool settings. Go ahead and just dock this there. And if I click that again, it turns it off. This one, these three little bars, this is our attributes right here. The attributes is good for showing you various attributes of an object. So this cube here, for example, it shows you various render stats, what kind of materials that might be on here, and so on. Right next to that, we have our rigger. So this is our character setup. You can create basic skeleton and character hierarchies. Next to this, we have our multi-component tool selection, which brings up the various selection modes. So this is selecting an object, selecting the vertices, these little points there, faces, which is this side, and then edges, which is that. There are also hotkeys to get to these, and then these ones here are UVs, which we'll get into later on. So I'll go back to object selection, and you have other tools that are in here as well that are pretty helpful, multi-cut, quad draw, extrusions, and such here. Okay, so channel box, modeling tools, attributes, the human IK rigger. And then down here, this section is the shelf. So your shelf has various tabs. Right now we're on polygons, or poly modeling in 2018. These let you create various primitives. You also have curves and surfaces and NURB primitives. So if you're working with NURBs, these are where you would find them. We have Sculpting tab for working with your model as if it were clay, so sculpting is pretty handy. Good for high resolution objects. Rigging for creating skeletons and setting up IKs. Animation tab, so various animation tools and setting keyframes and that sort of thing. Rendering, we have lights, shaders, and various other bits. Our effects tab for creating hair and particle effects. The effects caching, this is for storing various segments into memory. Custom shelf that you can create on your own. Arnold is the new renderer in 2018. So these are various rendering components for Arnold. And then you have the Bifrost for the particle system, Mesh, motion graphic tools, and XGen, which is another like doing hair and that sort of thing. Alright, so that's the shelf. Down at the bottom we have our timeline, or our time slider. You have the range slider, which shows you how many frames are available. You have your mel script that you can write in, and your output log. This one shows you what happened if you do a thing. So if I grab this and delete it, I make a new object, you'll see that it outputs what happened here. And then down at the very bottom, you can see it displays tooltips. So keep your eye here, but if I hover my mouse over something up top, it'll show you what that is. And then down over here, we have the play for animations and the recording of keys and various frame settings and such. And then, of course, the main window we've been looking in this whole time is our viewport. So you can see this window, I'm going to go ahead and trace it, is the viewport. Right? So if I hit spacebar, splits me up into four bits. If you can't get this, just remember you can hit this over here as well. Each viewport, we just talked about those, are independent. But you have a little shelf or little tabs bar up here that have selection for cameras. You can select the current camera you're in, shading. You can change the shading look of your panel here. And then you have lighting. Toggle lights on and off. You can show various things inside of your menu. So like if I take this sphere here, go down to the show, and I turn polygons off, then it's going to disappear. So you can hide and show various things. Rendering shows you what viewport we're currently rendering in. And then panels lets you change the actual viewport itself. So if I come over to perspective, you can see there's the camera. I can create a new camera if I wanted to, or I can change to an orthographic camera. So like I can change this to the front camera. Voila. But if I go to my foreview, you'll see I have two fronts now. I got a front here and I got a front there. So if you ever get stuck, you can always change these back. And then just below that, we have our camera selections and toggling and locking cameras. You can turn the grid on and off. You can set up your gate so you can see the render gate. You can also choose between your wireframe, your render shading. You can do texture shading and various other forms. You can turn lights on and off. You can change your rendering mode here, or your color mode, so RGB or raw or gamma. I'm going to go back to sRGB. Alright, so that is Maya in a nutshell. In the next video, we're going to go over the different hotkeys and different working modes that we can be in. Alright, stay tuned. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. Misty and I both thank you. If you enjoyed that video you just watched, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, check out my Patreon. I also have a Teespring store where you can get official Lame Duck Studios merch, hoodies and t-shirts and that sort of thing. Also, Rocket Flip is on its way out. It is in alpha testing right now. Just a very, very simple action clicker game. It's pretty fun. You're welcome to head over to lameduckstudios.com and sign up to get access to that early. Help me test it and suggestions and whatever not that kind of go into the development process of it, make it a better game overall. My usual posting schedule is I create new content on Sundays and I release content on Wednesdays. With the summer kind of rolling out, I'm getting back into the usual schedule, so stay tuned and I shall see you next time.